It was just another foggy morning in San Francisco when everything changed. The sun barely touched the tall trees of Golden Gate Park, and the city was waking up slowly. People walked their dogs, joggers passed through the winding paths, and life moved on as usual. But for one person, that peaceful morning would become the beginning of a chilling mystery. A 28-year-old woman named Emily Saunders had told her roommate she was going for a short walk in the park. She loved nature, especially the quiet mornings before the crowds arrived. Wearing a gray hoodie and carrying her phone and water bottle, Emily stepped out around 7:00 a.m. That was the last time anyone saw her. She was familiar with the area. Emily had walked through Golden Gate Park dozens of times. It was her way to relax and think. But on that day, something felt different. Hours passed, and she didn't return. Her phone stopped responding. Texts went unread. Calls went straight to voicemail. By late afternoon, her roommate grew worried and contacted the police. At first, it seemed like maybe she'd just gone somewhere else. Maybe she got distracted. But deep down, her friends knew this wasn't like Emily. Golden Gate Park is huge, filled with trees, lakes, and hidden trails. A place meant for peace suddenly became the center of fear. Emily Saunders had vanished without a sound, as if the park had swallowed her whole. Last seen in the park, the last confirmed sighting of Emily Saunders came from a nearby street camera. At exactly 7:12 a.m., she was seen crossing the intersection at 9th Avenue and Lincoln Way, just before entering Golden Gate Park. She looked calm, walking with purpose, unaware that these few seconds of footage would become the key moment investigators would cling to. Inside the park, things got quiet. There were no more cameras, no witnesses who remembered seeing her, and no signs of a struggle. Just silence. Her phone pinged one last time near Stowe Lake at 7:46 a.m. After that, it went dark. Park workers and early joggers were later interviewed. Some remembered a woman matching her description near the Rose Garden, but no one could say for sure. One woman thought she saw someone sitting alone on a bench near the Conservatory of Flowers, but again, nothing solid. Just guesses, shadows, and uncertainty. That morning, nothing seemed out of place. No one screamed. No calls for help. It was as if Emily simply faded into the trees. What disturbed detectives the most was how normal everything seemed. There were no signs of panic. No dropped items. No footprints leading off the trail. It was like she walked into the park and disappeared into thin air. Emily was now officially missing, and Golden Gate Park became the last place she was ever seen. The missing person report. By 5:00 p.m., Emily's roommate could no longer ignore the sinking feeling in her stomach. Emily wasn't the type to leave without a word. Her phone was still off, and none of her friends or co-workers had heard from her. She wasn't home. Her bed was still made. Her keys, wallet, and jacket were all gone, just like her. At 6:15 p.m., a missing person report was filed with the San Francisco Police Department. Officers arrived at the apartment shortly after, asking questions, checking Emily's room, and reviewing any available phone records. Her family was contacted. Her parents, who lived in Oregon, were heartbroken and confused. They insisted this wasn't like Emily. She always checked in, always replied, always came home. By midnight, police marked the case as concerning but not suspicious. There was no evidence of foul play, yet. Still, the case didn't sit right. A young woman had walked into Golden Gate Park and hadn't been heard from since. The park closed at 10 p.m., but by then, search efforts were already underway. Friends posted online, asking for help, sharing photos of Emily. Her picture began to spread across social media. Local news picked up the story. What started as a quiet walk had now turned into a community on alert. The question lingered, where was Emily Saunders? Clues left behind. When the sun rose the next morning, search teams were already in the park. Volunteers, police officers, and even park rangers joined the effort. They checked every path, every bench, every hidden trail. Dogs were brought in to track Emily's scent, focusing on the area near Stowe Lake where her phone last pinged. But the trail was cold. Then, around noon, a small breakthrough, a jogger found a silver water bottle lying beside a bush, about 30 feet off the main path near Strawberry Hill. It matched the one Emily often carried. Just a few steps away, her phone was discovered, screen cracked, battery dead. But there were no fingerprints other than hers. No blood, no torn clothing, no signs of a struggle. The items looked carefully placed, almost too clean, as if someone wanted them to be found. This raised more questions than answers. If Emily had dropped her phone and water bottle, why weren't they on the path? Why were they hidden? And why was there no sign of her anywhere nearby? Detectives reviewed phone data. Her last message was a photo sent at 7:30 a.m., a shot of sunlight breaking through the trees. It gave no clue, just a peaceful moment frozen in time. The park held its breath. Something had happened here. But what? Search teams mobilized as word spread. The search for Emily Saunders grew bigger. What started with a few police officers and volunteers turned into a large-scale operation. The San Francisco Police Department brought in drones, thermal cameras, and mounted patrols. The goal was clear: leave no corner of Golden Gate Park untouched. Helicopters flew overhead, scanning the treetops and thick brush. Search dogs returned to the area around Strawberry Hill and Stowe Lake. Divers were sent into the lake itself, checking beneath the still waters for anything unusual. Park employees were asked to comb through sheds, restrooms, and restricted maintenance areas. Volunteers formed human chains, moving slowly through the wooded paths, calling Emily's name. Flyers were posted on every lamppost, bulletin board, and coffee shop window nearby. Her face became a part of the city overnight, a reminder that someone had vanished in plain sight. Despite the massive effort, no new signs appeared. The park gave up no secrets. Emily's phone and water bottle remained the only physical evidence. Officers began to question whether she had ever left the park at all. But if something had happened to her inside, why wasn't there more to find? The mystery only deepened, and the search stretched on. Hope was still alive, but time was slipping away. Rumors and theories spread. As days passed with no answers, fear and speculation took hold. Social media exploded with theories about what could have happened to Emily. Some believed she had been kidnapped. Others thought she might have staged her own disappearance. A few even suggested something darker, something supernatural. Locals claimed Golden Gate Park had always held strange energy. Stories of past disappearances, shadowy figures in the trees, and whispers of hidden tunnels surfaced online. Most of these tales were old legends, but in the middle of a real mystery, people began to believe anything was possible. One theory gained serious attention: a man seen lurking around the park in the early mornings, watching joggers and walking aimlessly. Several witnesses came forward with similar stories, but no one had a clear description or photo. Police followed up, but no suspect was identified. Another rumor suggested Emily had met someone secretly that morning, maybe someone she trusted. People combed her social media and messages, looking for clues. But nothing stood out: no strange texts, no unusual contacts, nothing to hint she was in danger. The mystery became a storm of questions. With no clear answers, people were left with only guesses, and the park, once a place of calm, now felt like a place hiding something. A city on edge, San Francisco was no stranger to crime. But this case struck a different nerve. A young woman had vanished from a public park in daylight, and no one had seen or heard a thing. As days turned into weeks, the city's mood began to shift. Fear crept in where peace once lived. Parents held their children's hands tighter. Morning joggers avoided the deeper trails of Golden Gate Park. People started walking in groups, glancing over their shoulders. The park, once filled with laughter and music, grew quieter. Even the usual street performers and musicians seemed to keep their distance. News outlets ran constant updates. Every lead became a headline. Talk shows debated theories. Candlelight vigils were held at the park entrance, with friends, strangers, and families gathering to pray for Emily's safe return. Her photo, young, smiling, full of life, was everywhere. But behind the posters was growing panic. The police, under pressure, promised progress. But without fresh evidence, their words felt thin. Detectives worked long hours, but the case refused to move forward. It wasn't just about Emily anymore. Her disappearance had shaken the sense of safety for everyone. If she could vanish without a trace, could anyone feel safe? Golden Gate Park was still open. But something had changed forever. Twists in the investigation. 3 weeks after Emily disappeared, a surprising tip came in. A man walking his dog near Ocean Beach, just a few miles from the park, claimed he saw someone matching Emily's description. She looked confused, barefoot, and was walking alone near the sand dunes. By the time he turned around to follow, she was gone. Police rushed to the area. Footprints were found in the sand, but they led nowhere. No cameras nearby, no phone signal, nothing solid. Still, it was the first possible lead in days. Then came another twist. A park worker reported seeing a man burning something in a secluded fire pit days after Emily vanished. Investigators searched the spot and recovered partially burned clothing, but it was too damaged to identify. Forensics were inconclusive. No DNA, no blood, just more questions. Detectives also discovered that Emily had made a Google search days before her walk. How to disappear without being found. It shocked everyone. Her family insisted it must have been taken out of context. Maybe she had searched it for a writing project. Emily loved to journal. Still, it cast a shadow of doubt. Each new detail only made the truth harder to find. Every clue led to another dead end. Was Emily taken, lost, or had she chosen to vanish? The case was no longer just a mystery, it was a maze. The case still haunts SF months past, but Emily Saunders was never found. Her face slowly disappeared from news headlines, but not from the hearts of those who loved her. The search stopped, the posters faded, but the questions never did. Golden Gate Park eventually returned to its normal rhythm. Tourists, joggers, families. But something remained in the air, a silence, a wait. People still paused near Stowe Lake or Strawberry Hill, remembering the girl who walked in and never walked out. Emily's family never gave up. They kept her story alive through social media and yearly walks in her memory. Each anniversary, people gathered in the park with candles and pictures, still hoping for closure. Some believed she was still out there. Others quietly accepted that she might never come home. Detectives still review the case from time to time. A new officer picks it up, hoping to find something others missed. But the file remains open, cold, waiting. To this day, the vanishing of Emily Saunders is one of San Francisco's most chilling unsolved mysteries. Not because of what was found, but because of what wasn't. No body, no attacker, no goodbye. Just a walk into silence and a city left wondering why.